Hi guys, I'm just going to move this laptop a little. Awesome. How are we? Welcome to this practice of Yin Yang Flow with me, Anne. I can see there's a few people live, so if you want to say hi in the chat bar, I would love that, but no worries if you're kind of on your mat and it is a bit of a hassle to go back onto your computer. But I hope you're doing well and you're enjoying this somewhat drizzly Tuesday and you're ready for a bit of movement to kind of shift you into a greater flow. And movement doesn't always have to be in the form of physical vinyasa flow. It can be in the form of flow of breath. Here we got there, Catherine. Hi, Catherine. I hope you're well. Welcome. So today's class is, for you guys that have been to my classes before, you'll know that I like to start with the breath to ground down and come into ourselves. And I also like to use a theme for the class to focus our practice on something. So the yoga isn't just the movement. It actually is something that we take into our day-to-day lives. It is something that shifts our perspectives and our attitudes so we find more happiness and contentment within. And that is the beauty of yoga. Someone else is saying hi. Hi, is that my mum? It says Rick Loveridge. It's my dad. So in this class, I will stop getting distracted by comments. We're going to be looking at the theme of brahmacharya, which is the fourth of Patanjali's yamas. You don't really need to worry too much about the technicalities, as we're just going to go into the meaning of it. So brahmacharya is moderation of desires. And it's this idea of directing our energy in positive directions. So rather than getting stuck in thoughts of I should be more this, or I should be fitter, or I should work harder, or I should react in a different way to a situation, or right now I should be able to hold myself together and not get overwhelmed by emotion. I think a lot of us have dipped through this kind of managing the situation we're on and then finding that we're out of control. And often when that happens, when there's discomfort, when there's uncertainty, we start to seek for pleasure in external sources. And often that pleasure or that happiness is a fleeting experience and it isn't something that's going to last. So the idea is, yes, those things can be positive at times, depending on what we're kind of using to bring us joy. But how can we tap into that deeper level of joy, which they call in the sutras ananda, unconditional joy, uninterruptible? And we can do that by shifting our perspectives and our attitudes and resting with what's within and directing our energy towards those positive things. So we're going to start off with some breathing. We'll go into our yin practice and then we'll move into more movement in yang and open out a little bit more. So I welcome you to find a comfortable seat. I've got a big bolster here that I've propped up and I'm supporting myself on it. If you haven't already, have a couple of cushions handy and a scarf or if you've got a strap, great. If you've got anything else, that would be awesome. And if you have blocks at home, great. If you don't, not to worry about it too much. And if you're grabbing those things, just join us after. And if you're ready to start the practice together, then just close down the eyes. And as we close down the eyes, notice how the mind responds. Is there a tendency to recoil, withdraw? Does it feel comfortable to have your eyes closed? And if you're feeling restless, just take a breath and notice if this urge to move is coming from a physical discomfort, or maybe it's the discomfort or busyness of the mind. And if that is the case, then there's no need to judge that. Just let it be. And we'll start to welcome in deeper, longer breaths to create space for any emotion to be held, to be welcomed, without trying to resist or judge ourselves for how we feel. So deep breaths coming in through both nostrils, traveling down into the lungs and feeling the belly swell. And as you exhale, belly lowers, pulls in slightly as lungs expel any stale air. Inhale new fresh air, fresh breath through the nostrils, filling the lungs up. And exhale, just letting go through the nostrils. Let that breath filter out, not forcing it at all. It just gently seeps out through both nostrils. Taking a few more breaths in this way, bringing awareness to how we feel physiologically. How can we breathe a little more deeper and welcome more air into the lungs? Eyes are still closed, sitting upright, not hunching forwards in the shoulders. Sit tall, sit proud. Crown of head reaches towards sky and focus on your breath. Three more deep breaths in this way, in your own time. Really nice. And once you've finished that third and final breath, no rush to get there. Take your time. But once you've finished those 3 deep breaths, then allow the breath to drop back into its natural rhythm and pay attention to how you feel. Do you feel a little calmer? And if you feel the opposite, if you feel a little more tense, then perhaps imagine how it might feel if you were to calm a little in body and mind. Releasing any residual tension around the chest area, the shoulders, the jaw. Feeling it all fall away, drop, release. And then start to bring some movement into the body wherever it feels good. So listen to your body and let the movement come to you, still using the breath as the guide. Often we try to kind of make changes or do things that will nourish us and make us feel good, direct our energy in positive ways. But often the first step is non-doing, is actually listening to what you need first and then moving from that place of knowing. And that's when you can reconnect to the wisdom within, which helps you navigate through turbulent times. And then starting to move through the shoulders a little bit. Maybe you take the hands to the shoulders and just circle the elbows forwards and up and then back. Extend both arms out to the sides on an inhale. As you exhale, wrap the arms around yourself as you fold forward slightly, giving yourself a bit of a hug. Inhale to lift the head, release the arms. And if you haven't already done so, start to flicker the eyes open and come into an all fours position. So we're going to come into the first of our yin poses. And we're going to find dragonfly. So if you have blocks handy, that would be useful potentially. And if you have a cushion or a blanket, then I would definitely advise you take it behind your back knee. So I'll just demonstrate. Don't worry too much about going into the pose too quickly. There is no need to rush. So we'll take our right leg forwards and using the blocks to bring us up higher, if that's how you want to practice today. Come into this lunge position. So you can see I'm going quite deep into my hip here. You don't need to go into that full depth. You can even come so the sit bone, well, the hip is over the knee, and take your hand on that front knee. This is enough. And this can feel really nice some days. If you want to go deeper, you can kind of squeeze through the toes to pull yourself forwards a little bit. But check the sit bone isn't sticking up. Can you tuck it down and under and then lean forwards? The final option is to take hands to blocks on any level or down to the floor. Close down your eyes. And then listen to how the body is responding to the depth that you found with your hips. Do you need to ease out slightly? For you guys that come to my class weekly, you'll know that in our yin practice, we first play around with our edge, find the edge of resistance, and then we commit to the stillness and hold for time. And over time, the pose gets more intense. So there's no need to force too deep to go where you think you should go. Direct your energy towards finding ease and just a kind of edge of sensation, an edge of challenge. And then refrain from moving and hold in stillness. We'll be here for about 90 seconds. So making the whole time count. Really breathing deep into that hip. We have about 30 seconds left. Just stay with it. Long, deep breaths, really nice. And then inhale to prepare. Exhale, pour the weight into the front foot as you start to ease out of the position, opening the eyes. And see if you can take that right foot behind to join the left, so you find that tabletop position once more. And here you can just rock backwards and forwards through the wrists. Or maybe you need to take the hips forwards and backwards a little bit. You can even shift the hands a little bit further forward than the shoulders, which helps you drop the hips a little and come into the lower spine. Can you close down your eyes here? Still keeping that internal gaze, internal drishti. Focus within. Really nice. And then coming through your neutral tabletop, let's do exactly the same on the other side. So if you do have blocks handy, in your tabletop, put them under your hands as it creates more space to step that back leg through, and you might find it a bit easier, even on the highest setting. That can be really nice for helping you bring your leg through and setting you up for the position. So you can stay here with the hip over the knee and more of a 90-degree angle with that front left leg, or you can kind of squidge that foot forwards, take the hands to the block. And for those of you that are really flexible or have, not even flexible, but have been practicing for a while and feel like that you want to go a bit deeper, you can take the hands to the floor. But remember, we're targeting the deeper, more visceral yin tissues here. So often it takes a while for us to feel the benefits of the pose. So everyone, close down your eyes. I'm playing around with the sensations, finding your edge on this side, and it may be different to the other side. Not judging whatever comes up, but just directing your energy towards a place that is nourishing for your body without causing any strain or stress on the body or the mind. And then start to find stillness, close down the eyes. Again, we'll be here for about 60 to 90 seconds. Can you make every moment count? Every breath count? Really nice. Just about 30 seconds left. Breathing deep into the body. And taking a deep inhale to prepare to move. Exhale, using any props you need to help you ease out into your tabletop once more. And you can continue with what we did before in our all fours, or maybe you want to kneel up and take hands to the lower back and just press the hips forward slightly. So we're not going into our full back bend, just a very gentle pressing forwards of the hips. The chest is still lifting up. You're not sinking the weight into the lumbar spine, lower back. And then maybe you just ease out and take hands to hips and wiggle side to side. And then coming down onto your all fours, release onto one hip, and we're going to swing the legs around and come all the way down onto our backs. So here we'll find another opening to the hips. And in this pose, we can use a block or a hard back book or a combination of a book and a cushion, or even your bolster. We're going to find supportive bridge. So I'll first direct you through it by kind of talking anatomically in terms of what alignment we need to go through. So spreading the toes on both feet, root them down, check that the knees are in line with the hips, and then start to lift up with the hips. You can make sure that your block or whatever is handy as you place it underneath the sit bones and lower back down. So you can go on the lowest setting. So the kind of wider edge. You can take it up onto the second setting, or you can go even deeper into, actually we're not going to go there because that's way too deep for this stage in the class if you haven't warmed up yet. So one of those settings, and if you're using a cushion, then taking the cushion beneath you and just using that to prop up your hips a little bit. Maybe you take both hands to your belly in this pose as you close down the eyes and breathe a little more deeply. Can you tuck chin in towards chest to elongate cervical spine? And what's going on with the face? Can you release any tightness in lips, in jaw, in forehead? And then start to soften into the foundation. The foundation of the prop beneath your hips. The foundation of your mat, creating space for you to experience the body. Bring a sense of tenderness to your practice. And just a little while longer here. Three more deep breaths. Not worrying too much if the mind wandered. Coming back to yourself in this moment with 3 long deep breaths. After the final exhale, again inhaling to prepare mentally to move. Exhale, press the weight down into the feet, elevate the hips just so slightly so you can remove that block and come down to the floor. And just lying for a second, feeling the remnants of that posture in the body. Feeling the after effects. Noticing how it feels to have the entire length of the back touching the mat. And can you start to direct your breath into the back? So each time you inhale, finding this 3-dimensional breath. So rather than just breathing into the belly, you breathe into the lower back, the back ribs. finding more space in the body for expression. So just a few breaths exploring, breathing fully into the back. And then starting to windmill the knees side to side. Inhaling the legs through center, exhale over to one side. So just moving right to left in this way, allowing the breath to lift the knees through center on the inhale and guide them down softly towards the floor on the exhale. The legs don't have to reach the floor. Pay attention to lower back and notice how far feels good for your knees to rock to either side. If you feel inspired to hold in stillness at any stage in this movement, then go for it. Allow your body to be the guide and to listen to what is right for you right now. Really lovely. Inhale, knees through center. On your next exhale, allowing the knees to fall over to one side and just turning over onto your side for a second, finding embryo pose, that pose we find at the end of our Shavasana. Perhaps the lower hand creates a pillow for the head. And with that same sense of tenderness, very gently press the hands into the mat as you start to come into an upright position again. We'll keep the knees bent and do exactly the same as we did on the floor. So allowing the knees to fall over to one side then the other. Inhale through center, exhale the other side. And this can be a really nice massage for your glutes. So really like your weight to drop down into the sit bones and the buttocks as you go through the middle. So we're still a little bit supple. We're not engaging too much. We're allowing the stretch, the length to come to us. Really lovely. And next time the knees fall over to the right, start to turn in towards that direction. And then maybe you stay here and just circle with the arm. Or maybe you want to press down into that supporting hand, lift up through the shoulder first. So you're not sinking the weight into the shoulder, lift up through the shoulder, spread the fingers wide. And then elevate your hips slightly. Circle that arm a couple of times. Really opening through the rib cage to give it permission to breathe a little deeper, a little wider. Exhale, lower the hips. Inhale through center, over to the left. Again, often we tend to sink into the shoulder, lift out of the shoulder, spread the fingers wide. Maybe you just stay here with circling the arm, or maybe you press through the legs, also up through the shoulder as we circle a few times. Where is your breath? Exhale, lower the hips down, coming through center, just kind of windmilling through the legs. And then toe heel the feet in through center. Use the hands to cup the knees as you support them as your feet start to unfold like a book. Maybe you take your hands down to the inner arches of the feet and start to ease forwards, or maybe you stay upright with hands supported on knees. This is enough stretch in your groin already. If you feel that you're hunching forwards, then start to prop yourself up and maybe put a cushion under the sit bones to help. Really lovely. Inhale to sit upright if you aren't already. Hands scoop knees back to midline, and then starting to come over into a tabletop position once more. Facing the top of your mat. And then take the sit bones down onto the heels, come into child's pose, head comes down onto the floor. If you have any tenderness in knees, you can just put a cushion between the sit bones and the heels, or maybe something actually behind the knees, a rolled up blanket. We won't be here for too long. For me, I have knee issues, and I find coming up onto the toes helps create more space as the weight comes forwards into the upper body a bit more rather than sinking down into the hips. I'm just demonstrating that here, as you can see them up on the balls of my feet a little. And then from here, we'll find movement. So look forwards on the inhale, spread the fingers wide, and start to pull through the fingertips as the palm lifts up, and ripple through the spine, coming all the way down onto your belly. When you get there, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart, shine through. Exhale, just simply pressing back through tabletop into your child's pose, or maybe your sit bones hover a little bit above the heels if it's uncomfortable. Inhale, ripple body forwards, elbows hug side body as you come onto your chest. Inhale, shoulders roll back towards hip, elevate through the heart space, press through the tops of the feet. Exhale, lower chest, press through tabletop into child's pose. Then just taking a few rounds in this way, take it at your own pace. You can use a little bit more strength if you choose by coming through a modified chaturanga if you're familiar with the pose. But if you're feeling that the body needs to ease off slightly today, then just take it slow. There is no pressure to push too hard. Directing your energy towards what you need. Brahmacharya, moderation. Really nice. Using this time in flow to connect movement in breath to set the pace for the rest of our practice. So during the practice, not looking at what I'm doing too much or doing what you think you should be doing, going with what feels good. Next time you come into your child's pose, lift up on the inhale to tabletop, spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes, and then take the hands a little bit further forwards. Yes, a little bit further forwards than your shoulders. And then start to lift up out of the shoulders slightly, hover the knees and straighten up through the spine. Keep knees slightly bent. Pedaling through the heels. Finding this downward dog shape. So it looks different for everyone. It doesn't have to be perfect. The heels don't need to touch the floor. What we're looking for is this inverted V shape in the body. On the end of your next exhale, look forwards, bend into the knees a bit more and start to walk your feet towards the top of your mat. Baby steps. And coming into a deep forward fold, grabbing opposite elbow, bend into the knees. Although you're softening through the knees, the thighs are still engaged to support the weight of the body. Finding a ragdoll. And then maybe you sway slightly side to side. Letting the thoughts, the debris of the mind drop as you declutter through the crown of the head, hanging forwards, maybe eyes are closed. And then from here, release the grip on the elbows. Let the hands hang heavy. Pour weight into the heels, then rock forwards a little into the balls of the feet. So the weight is kind of balanced between the ball and the heel. And start to ripple all the way up. Inhale, shoulders lift up towards ears. Exhale, down the back. 2 more of these. Inhale, shoulders roll forwards and up. Exhale, down the back. Last one, really moving with intention here with this desire to let go. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, start to hinge forwards at the hips, hands down through prayer to the floor. Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, halfway lift to flat back, hands come up shins. Exhale, root your hands in the mat. Step back in your own way to plank. We'll all first check in with our butts, tucking it down so it's not reaching up towards the sky. As you press the pelvis down, notice how you can lengthen through the spine, pull the heart through. Drop the knees if you haven't already. Scoop elbows into side body, lowering through modified chaturanga, pause, and then coming onto your belly. Roll shoulders back once more. Inhale, heart reaches up. Baby cobra. Exhale, lower down, tuck toes. Transition through your tabletop or child's pose to downward facing dog. Just gently easing into body. Pedal it out through the heels. And then check that your shoulders aren't coming and reaching forwards over the wrists. Can you really press away with the hands, lift up through the shoulders so there's a length? And then see if you can breathe outwards through both armpits. So the shoulders aren't scrunching in towards the ears. There's space between your shoulder and your neck. Really nice. End of your next exhale, start to walk the feet towards the hands at the top of the mat. Coming into a deep forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift to flat back. Draw the lower belly in. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, arms sweep out to the side. Standing tall, reach through the fingertips. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, hands down by your sides. Really nice. We go again. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, hinging forwards at hips, arms reach down towards the mat. Inhale, hands sweep up, shins to flat back. Tuck the chin in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold, root hands, step back into plank. Maybe you stay lifted for a second before dropping the knees. And then your choice, you can drop the knees and come through modified chaturanga onto your chest or maybe full chaturanga. Inhale, shoulders roll back, baby cobra or up dog, your choice. Exhale, down dog, maybe through your plank or maybe through child's pose or tabletop. When you reach your downward facing dog, inhale through your nose, exhale, sigh out through your mouth. 2 more of these. One more. Really nice. Find stillness in the pause. Check that the weight isn't sinking into wrists. Lift out of shoulders. Then this time we'll inhale and lift our right leg up towards the sky, 3-legged dog. Check the hips don't stack and open, toes face down towards the mat. And then exhale, right knee draws forwards as we come into a runner's lunge. You may want blocks under your hands at the front here, your choice. And then start to press the weight into the feet as you lift up into high lunge. So you can drop the back knee to give you stability before you lift up. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, maybe you sink a little deeper into that back hip. We opened up our hip in our yin practice. Then on your next inhale, start to open that back heel, not to 90, but up. So it's pointing towards the top left-hand corner of your mat, this diagonal angle. Hands come parallel to the floor. Then start to straighten that front leg. So we're setting up for a Tita Trikonasana, our triangle pose. Inhale, shift torso forwards in same plane as legs. Exhale, tilt your body over, finding your Trikonasana. If you have a block and would like to use it rather than putting too much weight in the front leg, you can take the block on the inside of the front leg. This also helps to open through the chest a little bit more freely rather than sinking in. But check you lift up through your shoulder if you're finding this modification. Exhale fully. Inhale deeply. And then on your next exhale, bend into that front knee. And you can take the hand onto the front knee if that feels good. Finding side angle. Utthita Parsvakonasana. Can you tilt your hand in forward so the pinky finger comes in towards the face? And then lift up out of that shoulder a little bit more. Exhale, the top hand finds the mat, coming into that runner's lunge, same way as we entered. And then exhale, step back into plank, your version of vinyasa. Maybe you drop your knees. Maybe you come through full chaturanga before inhale into back bend. Exhale, your choice of how you reach downward facing dog. And even if you feel like the body's after a child's pose or a tabletop here, go there. Don't even second guess it, just go for it. No need to judge, no need to kind of reason why you want to go there. Just move where the body takes you. On your next inhale, if you're not already in down dog, find your way there. Exhale, really support yourself through your foundation, your hands, your feet, lifting up and out, engaging everything to help support you. And then inhale, left heel reaches up towards sky, 3-legged dog. Exhale, left leg comes forwards, finding that runner's lunge. So often we can kind of have our sit bones up a little bit. See if you can drop that back leg. So you might need to slide it back to get that depth in the hips. You can take your hand to the front knee to help you lift up, or maybe you do it without the hands as you come into a high lunge. Another option is to drop the back knee and come up through the upper body, then straighten that back leg. Yeah, nice. Really nice. Staying here for a second. I'm just going to change sides so you can see my face. And then on your next inhale, drop that back heel open. So the toes are facing the front right-hand corner of the mat. And then open through the arms, straightening the leading leg. Again, check if your prop is nearby if you need it. You can take it into the left hand. As you straighten through that front leg, shift the torso forwards first, and then come into your Trikonasana pose. Really lovely. Gaze up towards the top hand. And check that you're really pressing into the outer edge of that back foot to engage all along the outside of the back leg. Weight isn't sinking too much into the shoulder if you're using a prop to help lift the torso on the front. Really nice. And then bend into that leading leg. Keep the hand on the block if you choose, or maybe hand on the knee. The upper arm comes up overhead, then tilting the pinky side finger inwards towards the face. Check the ribs aren't flaring out too much. Front knee is tracking in line with the middle toe. There's a tendency for the knee to wing in towards the middle of the mat. Engage through the outer leg muscles to keep that alignment so we're not kind of putting extra stress on the knee joint. Exhale, windmill that arm down. Taking it into your runner's lunge, step back, take your version of vinyasa. And that could even be, vinyasa is flow, so that could even be coming through child's pose and then rippling forwards a few times, as we did before. Really nice. Just taking your time, not worrying about what I'm doing. Stay with your body. And in your own time, making your way to downward facing dog. This time, inhale, right leg up towards the sky, three-legged dog. Exhale, right leg forwards, and then drop that back knee. Take our hands onto the front knee and find this low lunge. So very similar to that yin pose that we found. What they call dragon. And then there's an option to stay here and lift your arms up overhead. Or maybe you want to take the hands to the mat and start to flow a little, coming through, straightening the front leg, and then bending in. If this is quite deep on the hips, which for a lot of us it is, you can use the blocks to help you move through this transition. And even if you're used to doing it without blocks or props, it's sometimes nicer to ease out and notice how it feels. Lovely. If you're using props, next time you bend into the front knee, take them to the long edge of your mat. Hands come on the inside of that leading leg, tuck back toes and open out into a wide leg forward fold. So you can take the hands to the blocks if that feels good. Slightly bend in the knees. Your toes are pointing slightly inwards, and if you want to, you can go lower. So we're finding an openness in the back of the hamstrings here. There's a tendency to send weight into the heels. Can you play around with trusting your foundation, your feet, and shifting the weight forwards ever so slightly to find this midpoint in the foot? And the toes are really great for balancing, so maybe you spread them wide and then root them down. Really nice, guys. Then inhale as you start to walk to turn to the back of your mat. Bend into that back knee, and again, hands can press onto that knee to help you lift up. And you can stay here, or maybe you want to use blocks or no blocks to flow. Straightening the leading leg and then bending in. Really lovely. Two more deep breaths wherever you are. Nice. We're going to toe heel that front foot over to the long edge of the mat. So we can kind of take our weight into that back hand and come down onto the sit bones. If that felt a bit weird on your body, then just find any way to sit down. It doesn't matter how you get there. And then drawing the feet, the heels forwards and the toes towards the shins, use that to activate the thigh muscles. We're just going to take a little bit of strength into our quads, seeing as we opened quite a lot through our hips. We'll take our hands over our left leg and either with foot, let's go for foot flexed. Start to lift it up for 10, 9, 8. This is really hard. 7, 6, smile. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, shake it out. If you've got any tightness in the hip, just massage that through. Turning to face the other leg. Flex the foot. You've got this. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep going. 4, 3, 2, 1. Really nice. Shake it off. Just a little bit of strengthening here. One more time on either side. And maybe you play with pointing the toes this time. Let's go on to the left leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Lower it down. Release. Shake. Just take it on the other side. You've got this, Catherine. You've got it, Mum. Point the toes for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Keep going. You got this. 2, 1. Nice. Shake it out. And maybe you just take the hands to massage down the thighs to release a little bit more. It can feel really nice. And then we're going to take our knees in, and you'll be very happy to hear we're coming onto our backs. So if you have a strap or a scarf or something nearby, bring it closer to you. Bend into the knees, hands onto the knees, and very slowly lowering all the way onto the back. Engage through the abdomen, hands slide down the knees. Yeah. Whew, feels nice. So we found some opening in our hips today. We found some opening in the backs of our legs, and we're just going to take it a little bit deeper into the backs of our legs now. So using your strap to hook over your right foot. So you can take it over the arch of the foot maybe. Then straighten the leg. And then start to pull that leg a little bit closer to you. So this is option 1. If you don't have a strap, option 2 is just to elevate the foot and circle through the ankle. And if you have a strap and you prefer this, then feel free to go there. Really nice. Exhale, lower that foot to the mat. Let's take it onto the other side. So same again, you can hoop that strap over the foot and find a nice opening, which feels really nice. Or just simply circling through the ankle, the leg can be up, it doesn't matter where it is. Lovely. Bending into that knee, lowering it down to the mat. I'm going to take one last pose here. Elevate both knees, hands thread on the inside of the knees, peace fingers on big toes, coming into your classic happy baby. You can sway slightly side to side. You can start to straighten through the legs and build upon that opening in the hamstring. I'm imagining this baby who's starting to realize, wow, I can move my things. I'm not in a womb anymore. So just kind of moving without thinking, just going with intuition of how does it feel to move this way? There's that kind of innocence of a baby not knowing what's right or wrong, just moving because that comes intuitively. And then slowly, slowly start to make your way to Shavasana. Getting whatever cozy socks or jumpers you need. If you have a cushion, you can take it under the knees like I'm doing, or a bolster, to help elevate your hips a little bit more. Not elevate your hips, elevate your legs. And you can lift the hips. So you're lifting the sit bones up, tuck them under to elongate lumbar spine before straightening legs. Maybe you lift one leg and straighten through heel, lift the other, straighten through heel. Helps encourage this length. I really like one hand on my belly and one hand just above. Some people like both arms out to the side, palms facing up. But wherever you are, give yourself permission to release, to rest. And we'll come back to that intention. Where do you want to direct your mental and physical energy? What thoughts, actions, habits, behaviors are most serving for you? What brings you the most joy? And it can take time for us to realize those things, to process those emotions. So let's start by just softening, releasing, welcoming an essence of tenderness, so we have the space to receive. And we have the clarity to see where we want to go next, without getting too distracted by sensory objects, by the screens of our phones, or maybe drinking a bit too much, or other things that in the moment feel good, but after leave us feeling drained. These fleeting moments of joy. What new habits and attitudes can we direct our energy towards to find that deeper, more sustained sense of happiness? And let's just rest with those words for a second longer. And see if on the exhale you can soften the entire body into just being, into releasing. And let the expectation of yourself fall away. To reveal all the amazing things you already are. And rest there for a moment longer. And then on your next inhale, start to welcome a deeper breath into your extremities, the fingers and the toes. Start to welcome a deeper breath into the belly. And start to welcome movement, maybe by turning the head side to side. And then start to draw everything inwards as you curl up into a ball. And gently float over onto whichever side feels the most comforting right now. Perhaps the right, perhaps the left. And just feel this comfort of resting with yourself in your own presence. With the knowing that you already have everything you need to sustain happiness. You just need to direct your attention to those things that nourish you. And eyes still closed, start to press up, coming into a seat. Doesn't have to be cross-legged, however feels comfortable, but spine is in one straight line, crown of head reaching tall and proud. Bring hands into prayer at heart center. And choose one thing that you're grateful for or one thing that you love about yourself. And this may feel a bit weird at first or seem unnatural, but see if you can breathe past that. And then repeat these 2 words after me. So hum. Repeat with me now. So hum. Meaning I am that I am. There's no I should be this or I should be that. I wish I had this, I wish I had that. I am just as I am, and that is enough. Then dip chin down towards chest. In gratitude to your body for all it's achieved, and in gratitude for the motivation and willpower you conjured up to be here for yourself and find something a little bit different in your day. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. You can open your eyes. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I always love teaching this class. I do have quite a few workshops coming up. Some beginners yoga workshops at the end of the month. And also I have a moving into space, into finding exploration and freedom in movement, even when we kind of maybe feel a little bit constricted in our days. So I'd love to see you there on the 30th of January. Or I do have a free meditation that I taught on Sunday, which I have a link to a recording if you'd like to join that. So just leave your email in the comments and I can send you a free recording of the meditation. Thank you.